Thank you. The Board of Zoning Appeals will come to order, and I would like to explain our process to you. I will call up a case. The first one we have here is 163 Ann, and when I do that, our staff will give us a review of what's being requested. One of our board members who has been out to the site will give us a little bit more explanation about what they saw, and then we'll ask the applicant for their name and any other information they would like to add to the case. And once that is done, we'll ask you questions, and then we'll ask if there's any public comment, if there's anybody here to talk to us about your case. Once that's done, we close the public hearing, and that means we don't take any more information from you. We talk about the case amongst ourselves, and the person in charge will make a motion to either table, approve, or deny the case, and then you just work with staff, after today on that decision. So with that, I'm going to ask first that the approval for the minutes of September 18th be read.
Motion to waive the reading of the minutes and approve as written.
I'll second.
Any comments, changes? Okay, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay. As I said, our first, we don't have to excuse the absence. Sorry, I'm mixing up my boards here. Our first hearing is 163 Ann Street Northeast. It's a use variance.
Good afternoon, everyone. The first case on your agenda today is 163 Ann Street Northeast. The applicant is requesting a use variance for a professional office in the TN LDR Traditional Neighborhood Low-Density Residential Zone District. The property is located on the northeast side of the city, indicated on your screens by the yellow star. In July 17th, 1997, a use variance was approved for this location for a secondhand retail store. The Bridge to Our Future Community Master Plan designates this area as the compact neighborhood. The intent of that future land use designation is to create, maintain, and promote a variety of housing opportunities while enhancing the desired physical characteristics of the city's existing neighborhoods. These areas support small-scale commercial uses and contribute to the vibrancy of neighborhood centers. This property is located within the Creston neighborhood, which has its own area-specific plan. The Creston area-specific plan identifies this property also within the compact neighborhood. The intent of that designation is to create, maintain, and promote a variety of housing opportunities to meet the needs of a diverse population while maintaining the desired physical characteristics of the city's existing neighborhoods. The property is currently improved with the two-story building located at the corner of the lot at the intersection of Ann Street and Coit Avenue. The first floor of the structure facing Ann Street has large commercial storefront windows and awnings, typical of a commercial use. The primary entrance to the first floor is on the east side of the building at the corner of Ann Street and Coit Avenue. A second entrance to the first floor is on the northeast side of the building, which enters into the kitchenette/break room space. The number of parking spaces required for an office use at this location is 5 spaces. There's also an apartment on the second floor of this structure, which requires an additional 2 parking spaces. Because the property is mixed use with both a residential and a commercial component, there is a parking reduction available, which would bring the total required parking down to 4 spaces. Additionally, the site also qualifies for a 50% parking reduction, bringing the total parking spaces down to 2. Those parking spaces are accounted for with the garage that you can see on the screen. So if the use variance is approved, this property would meet all of its parking requirements under the current ordinance. The last active use for the building was a window covering business that opened between 2014 and 2016. There is no record of review or approval for that business, and it likely would have required a variance at that time. I don't have the exact date of that business closing, but it was likely between 2022 and 2025. As I stated previously, the applicant is proposing a professional office on the ground floor. To give future flexibility to the space, staff is also recommending approving medical office and retail with this use variance to give flexibility if the tenant was to change and to avoid the applicant having to come back for a separate use variance. As I stated previously, the second story is an apartment and is proposed to remain in operation. The entrance to the apartment is on the north side of the building, which is kind of around by the garage. Staff is also recommending that as a condition of approval, if the board is inclined to do so, that signage be permitted with the regulations of the TNTBA, Traditional Neighborhood, Traditional Business Area Zone District. That would be analogous to Wealthy Street, Cherry Street, Fulton Street. Those are pretty typical TNTBA zone districts. So signage at this location would follow those standards. And then the applicant has communicated to staff that they did some neighborhood outreach, and I would just ask the board to ask the applicant to elaborate on that outreach. And with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Zeiser.
Rowan, can I ask a question really quick, please? When you say the signage, that your recommendation, is the current signage that we see in this picture, is that in alignment with that, or would it be more or less than what's currently there?
That's an excellent question. I'm seeing one sign on the front face and no signs on the second face. They would likely be permitted to have one sign on the Ann Street side of the building and an additional sign on the Coit side, likely in similar dimensions to what you see today.
Okay, thank you.
I also have a question. When you said we should consider expanding this medical retail, historically, those uses tend to be a lot more intense than office. So why are you suggesting, especially with so little parking other than street parking?
Yeah, part of the reason was taking into account the history of the building operating as a secondhand store previously. Retail would not fall into that previous use variance because secondhand stores are regulated different than retail. So taking into account that previous history of the building operating as analogous to retail, and then with the request from the applicant to provide more flexibility beyond a professional office, we thought it was appropriate with the history of the building and the direction from the master plan to put that forth for consideration. Ultimately, that is your decision on if you feel like it should be specific to professional office or if it can be expanded a little bit more beyond that. I've communicated to the applicant that it will be your decision on which route to go.
So if we were to approve it, you would not have any indication that the use changed because it would be legal, right? So if a year from now, the professional office is gone, a medical use goes in, we wouldn't really know that. I mean, it would just be a change in use that's allowed. And so therefore, the parking situation would not be.
Correct. If the board is inclined to allow for that flexibility in use, you could add conditions of approval that it must meet all requirements of the ordinance, inclusive of parking at that time. And you could add a condition that prior to a change in tenant, that the applicant or the owner communicate with our office regarding that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Zeiser, sorry.
No, you're good. So I actually live very close to this and very familiar with the building. The summary that Mr. Brady gave is pretty inclusive. I don't really have much to add to that. It's just that it exists there, how it sits. I don't really have any more to add to that.
Is it surrounded by housing?
Yeah, it's exactly how you described it. It's in a residential area, it sits on the corner just like that. It's really the only retail commercial space in that area until you get down to Monroe, or if you go up to Plainfield.
Right. Okay. All right, thank you.
Yep.
Can we have the applicant come forward, please? State your name for the record.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rob DeVerna.
Hi.
Hey.
So what would you like to add?
Kind of how Rowan mentioned, I did do some neighborhood outreach, so I'll touch on that. save anyone from having to ask about it. So I did walk around the neighborhood. Not many people answered their doors. I did drop letters off at all the houses, kind of within that vicinity. I did talk to Cassandra Jackson. So she's at 1806 Coit, right across the street on that Coit side. She's been there for 20 years. She's like, oh yeah, this has basically always been kind of a commercial space. She's like, I think when I moved in, it was an antique shop or that consignment shop. So she's like, had no issues. She was kind of welcoming. She said the neighborhood's very welcoming to people. And then I did talk to 1810 for a few minutes. She didn't have much to say, didn't have any questions or anything like that. So everyone in that area does have a letter with my cell phone and contact info on it, and no one has reached out. So, but it seems like everyone, or at least Cassandra, said that, they don't have any issues and they welcome something to the neighborhood. So, yeah.
So with that in mind, did you reach out to the neighborhood association or the business association by chance?
I did not, no.
Okay. Any particular reason why?
I guess I just didn't know that there was one.
Oh.
So,
They would have received notice, correct?
They should have, yeah.
Okay. Other than that, I don't know what questions I really do have. It seems fairly straightforward. Do you have anything else to add to why you need the variance?
I think the only reason I need the variance is because it lost the designation, if I remember correctly. So when I basically put the building under contract, I did, the due diligence, making sure that we'd be able to operate properly. And I think I touched base with Rowan, and he said, oh, it does look like it's lost that designation, so we'll need to do this to kind of get that designation back active. So that's the only reason I think we need it.
Okay.
Is there anybody else who has questions? Yes.
Hours of operation, do you receive, people coming in, like a storefront office, or is it just you in there?
So there'll be 6 of us in there. So we run wedding venues, and so we're pretty much off-site most of the time at the venues here in Grand Rapids. So we're really only using that as kind of our home base. So, typical hours, 9 to 5. You might get some in and outs on the weekends if they need to get supplies, but, clients don't really meet us there because they want to meet us at the venue and see the space that they're getting either married at or holding their event at. So yeah, we don't really get a lot of foot traffic, so it should have really minimal impact on the neighborhood, so, yeah.
Anybody else? That was my question. Thank you. Okay. We're going to see if there's anybody else who would like to speak to us about this. Just one other question. The one house that we see in the picture behind you, the White House, did they answer their door?
They did not answer their door, so, but I did drop the letter, so they do have my contact info.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. You
Okay,
can have a seat. Is there anybody here who would like to talk to us about 163 Ann Street Northeast? Nope. Okay. Do you want to close the public hearing?
Yes, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Okay, support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Did you have questions?
Nope, just here if you need me.
Okay.
Yep.
I have maybe just one, one clarifying question for Rowan. And Rowan, you may have answered it. I just want to make sure I heard it correctly. In your recommendation that we approve other potential uses, would the parking requirements that we would approve with the initial request carry over to those? Like, do all those other uses have the same parking conditions under the ordinance and the mixed-use status? And
Yeah, it's a great question. They do not. So retail is typically a little bit higher. I believe for retail, it's 3 spaces per every 1,000 square feet. So I haven't sat down and done that analysis. Again, it doesn't take long if you would like, but it could also be satisfied by a condition if you're inclined to approve additional uses beyond the professional office, that it meets all ordinance requirements prior to a new tenant operating or opening in the business, or excuse me, in the property.
okay, so if we didn't do that, but we just approved that other uses could be there, someone would still have to come back for some sort of request. to have them less parking to go along with that use?
It could go to planning commission, it could go a bunch of
Okay.
different ways. It may not come back to the board for a parking waiver. If they needed additional space, there could also be modifications to the site to help add that additional parking. I wouldn't anticipate it coming back to the board for review if it was just parking.
Okay.
And related to that, it looks like there's on-street parking on Coit. Is there, the under construction is unclear, but is there on-street parking on Ann on either side?
Yeah, it's a great question that I don't have the
Okay.
answer to, unfortunately.
I see a nod.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, then, I'm sorry, anybody else? Okay, has this been notified correctly if we're going to add different
Yep.
uses?
So it was expanded. The notice included other additional uses when it was notified to property owners both within 300 feet and within the local paper.
Okay, but it says similarly regulated uses.
Yep, that was the initial notice, and then upon further review with our city attorney, we refined that to medical office and retail. And I guess I would defer to the attorney on if there's an issue there.
So to confirm, Rowan, the notice did specify the 3 specific uses?
It said similarly regulated uses, not specifically the retail and medical office.
I think the notice is broader than the 2 specific uses then that you're proposing right now.
Yep.
So the notice encompasses these 2 uses, yeah.
I'm personally not comfortable with that, but that's my problem, not yours. Okay, all right, thank you so much. Larry?
So, just so you and I could talk, or we can all talk, I guess. With the retail being a little bit uncomfortable, it sounds like no matter what, if they try to do retail, they're still going to have to go get a parking variance. Either they'll have to go back to zoning, correct, or planning?
Yeah, it could come a few ways. They could come back and seek a dimensional variance. It could go to planning commission for a parking waiver. I don't believe there's anything administratively that we would be able to do to get them down to less than 50% of their required parking.
To help with the type of retail, would an hours restriction be advisable?
Actually, medical is more intense than retail a lot of times because they're scheduling, back-to-back medical. And I guess that's where my concern comes. And I had another one that just slipped out of my mind, but it's
Yeah,
okay.
and this is just a recommendation from us. If you want to keep it specific to professional office, that is certainly within your authority.
And if there was a parking concern by the board, we would have to put something in the motion to cue it to come back to you, correct? Or go to planning, or whatever they need for the parking issue.
I would recommend a condition that the applicant communicate with our office prior to a new use moving in, which would trigger zoning compliance review.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, they would just be able to do it and it would be allowed.
Yeah.
If we approved it, just blatant, out and out.
No, they would need to provide their parking regardless. Like the application before you today meets its parking requirements, the professional office, so I wouldn't believe that approving additional uses automatically grants a parking waiver. I would see those as 2 separate. Would maybe ask the attorney for an opinion on that as well.
So to clarify, I think what you're saying, Rowan, is what's up today are use variances. A variance for parking requirements for the medical and retail uses would be a dimensional variance, which is not before the board today. So if the board approves this property for the medical office and retail uses, the property would still have to comply with the zoning parking requirements, whatever they might be.
Yep.
And then if the applicant wants to be excused from those requirements, it would require a variance or whatever, administrative departure, et cetera.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's been,
Thank you, Mr. Hooker.
Yep.
Right, but a building permit.
you can talk, go ahead.
Rowan, we would, in the planning department, building department would catch a change of use if a permit is required for improvements to the interior of the building, which would then trigger plans review for parking compliance, correct?
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay. So
So there's some checks and balances there from that perspective.
it's triggered by any permits that are pulled to do, okay.
Correct.
Forgot about that part. Okay.
In the ordinances, is there a specific difference between medical office and professional office?
There is. They are listed separately. They're, off the top of my head, I can't think that they're regulated separately. I believe there's maybe additional parking requirements for medical office compared to professional office, but their use regulations are quite analogous.
Can I make a suggestion, Chair?
Sure.
Do we just want to take a quick sort of raise of hands to see who is looking to maybe support the recommendation, to see if we need to even have this conversation, or if we, because if everybody on the board is just cool with the professional and we don't want to take the recommendation, then, we can move on. But if we do want to do other uses, and I think we're going to have to solution around hours of operations and stuff like that, conditions on the motion. So I'm just curious, like, who amongst us is interested in possibly taking the recommendation
Of staff, you mean?
of staff?
I'm open to the expanded uses.
As am I.
Yeah. And I would be too, as long as there's
Okay.
a trigger to protect the neighbors.
Yeah, I am too. I am as well, but I was also just curious if we're having this discussion, and then everybody on the board was like, absolutely not. So, okay, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Good?
Okay,
Okay,
we're
sorry.
good. Yeah,
Okay.
All right. No
Back
more
to
discussion?
you.
yeah, let's make a motion.
So, before I make the motion, I'll go through our standards. When it comes to exceptional, extraordinary circumstances and conditions, I believe that the property exhibits unique conditions due to its long-standing commercial storefront design, corner orientation, historic use as a commercial space in the residential district. When it comes to substantial property right, I believe that the commercial configuration predates the applicant, and the loss of commercial designation resulted from a vacancy over time. Not self-created. The hardship is not self-created because it existed the way it is for seemingly quite some time. No substantial detriment.
Just, may I interrupt for a moment? Are we doing a use variance or a dimensional variance on this one?
It's a use.
Dimensional. Did I not?
It's a use.
It's a use variance.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I just want to make sure we're working the standards. They're close, but slightly different.
That would be why. I had the wrong one up. I apologize. So I think in uniqueness, the same stands. Property exists in conditions due to longstanding commercial storefront design, corner orientation, historic use as a commercial space. Not self-created. The hardship is not self-created. The commercial, it fits. It's really better. Thank you. Commercial configuration predates the applicant and loss of commercial designation. No substantial detriment. The variance will not produce substantial detriment to nearby properties or alter neighborhood character. This is used as low intensity, consistent with past operations, and no building expansion is proposed. Cannot be reasonably used. The property cannot be reasonably used for permitted residential purposes without substantial and practical renovation due to its commercial layout and structural features. And lastly, a master plan zoning. The request aligns with the city's master plan and Creston area specific plan, which both support small-scale commercial uses integrated in compact neighborhoods. With that said, I'd like to make a motion to approve the application at 163 Ann Street with the supporting documentation, the staff analysis, and available review records for the use variance. I recommend the request to allow allow professional office along with similarly low-intensity commercial uses of medical office and retail on the first floor, with the second floor apartment remaining as residential uses. There'd also be the condition that the signage is permitted subject to the sign regulations of the TN-TBA zone district.
Can I make one suggestion?
Ooh, second.
Oh,
There you go.
you.
Gotcha.
You're just on it today, just killing it.
She is on it.
Okay, I'm loving this.
Pardon me.
I just wanted to note, in terms of no substantial detriment, I just want to note for the record that the applicant did testify that he surveyed the neighborhood, found support in one of the neighbors nearby, as well as left letters with his cell phone and did not receive a response back indicating any issue, concern with this use.
Yes, with that, I would accept that recommendation to the
I
portion
as well.
of self-created. I'm sorry. Detriment.
Is there anything you want to put into it about changing use and parking requirements, or do you feel that's covered with the code?
Seemingly it's covered with code, but if you,
Covered with the code?
My recommendation would be that prior to a change in tenant, that the applicant communicate with our office.
okay. So I'd like to add to that, that is conditioned with, if there is a change of use or tenancy, that they have to come to the city or planning to get reapproved for the use and meet all regulations.
Is that supported?
Supported.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Thanks for the conversation. All those in favor of the motion to approve?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You got it. Work with staff going forward. Thank you. Okay, our next case is 1900 Will Avenue Northwest. It's a dimensional variance.
The second case on your agenda today is for 1900 Will Street Northwest. As you can see, the property is located in the northwest corner of the city, indicated by a yellow star. Several variances are requested to facilitate the construction of a contractor's building and associated site improvements, including a dimensional variance to eliminate the required building line along Will Avenue Northwest and place the building 60 feet from the back of the curb, a dimensional variance to eliminate the required building line along Edwin Street Northwest and place the building 30 feet from the back of the curb, a dimensional variance to eliminate the requirement to access the property from the alley, a dimensional variance to approve parking in the defined front yard, a dimensional variance to allow for a parking area to exceed 50% of the lot width. The Bridge to Our Future Community Master Plan designates this area as manufacturing and logistics. The intent of the manufacturing and logistics featured land use designation is to reserve land for industrial activities, allow for a wide range of types, services, and wage levels in sectors such as production, manufacturing, research, distribution, and logistics, while minimizing impacts on adjacent land. The property is currently vacant and covered with a mix of gravel and vegetative scrub. The property is defined as a corner lot with two frontages, one along Will Avenue Northwest and the other along Edwin Street Northwest. The lot is slightly over 13,000 square feet and meets the dimensional requirements of a lot in the SDIT zone district. The proposed structure is placed to the east side of the site with a parking area along the west and south. The required building line along Will Avenue Northwest is 23 feet from the back of the associated curb line. The building is proposed to be 61 feet from the back of Will Avenue Northwest curb line and requires a variance of 38 feet. This is indicated as variance number 1 on the graphic that should be on your screen. The required building line along Edwin Street Northwest is 13 feet from the back of the associated curb line. The building is proposed to be 33 feet from the back of the Edwin Street curb line and requires a variance of 20 feet. This is identified as variance number 2 on the graphics. The applicant is requesting a variance to use existing curb cuts to access the site from Will Avenue Northwest and Edwin Street Northwest. As this project is considered to be a complete redevelopment, it must comply with the standards of the zoning ordinance. For properties adjacent to an alley, access from the alley is required. This is identified as variance number 3 on the graphics. A front yard is defined as any space between a front lot line and a primary building. Because the building is proposed to be internal to the site, a large amount of the site is within a defined front yard. The applicant is requesting a variance to locate a parking area within a defined front yard. This is identified as variance number 4 on the graphics. And then finally, to reinforce consistency in the urban street wall and prioritize building frontages on streets, the width of a parking area adjacent to a front lot line is not permitted to exceed 50% of the lot width. The applicant is requesting a variance for a parking area to exceed 50% of the lot width along both Will Avenue Northwest and Edwin Street Northwest. This is identified as variance number 5 on the graphics. And with that, I can take any questions or turn it over to Mr. Zeiser.
Questions? Okay, we got one.
Has this, I have a lot of questions, actually. I think my main one is, has this been evaluated to be reasonably built on the site within compliance of the zoning ordinance?
It's a good question. Mr. Attorney, I would maybe ask if I can answer if I believe that this site can be built within the requirements of the zoning ordinance.
Or should we be asking that of the applicant?
I think you could give the planning department's position on that.
This site meets all of the dimensional requirements for a lot in the SDIT zone district, so I would assume, based on the lot size, that our ordinance is structured in a way to permit the site to be developed in compliance with the ordinance. How did that sound? Is that okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions? You said you had.
I might have some for the applicant as well.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. We'll have the applicant come up. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Larry? Go ahead.
Would you like me to?
Yes, please. The applicant could come up anyway.
I did actually go out to the site yesterday around 4:30. It is located in what seemingly is a very industrial area, a mix of old buildings, new buildings. There are a couple residential slight homes that reside on Will just north of this, all separated again by big vacant properties and what have you. As far as setbacks and what have you, if you were to look at an area, a lot of the buildings in the area actually sit how this building sits. So it's quite similar. Maybe not back 60 foot, but definitely 30, 40, 50 foot up front yards. Very few of those actually have 2 front yard situations though. Actually, I would say none of them do. That's an area. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
There was not a lot of traffic. Again, not a lot of the parking was used in all the other places, but again, it was 4:30, so being manufacturing kind of factory area, it might have been a little late to see who was there.
Okay. Thank you.
The area was what is expected for kind of a manufacturing area. It's a little bit run down, not well taken care of here and there.
Okay. Hi, would you like to add anything to this
I
discussion?
think Rowan laid it out pretty nicely.
I'm sorry, name for the record.
Pardon me?
Name for,
Oh, I'm Brian DeSmit. I'm Mike Moen's partner. I'm an owner of Night Thunder, owner of the property.
Okay.
I think Rowan laid it out pretty nice. After you look at it, yeah, there are 5 variance requests for it. I think our biggest issue is the requirements force us to come off an alleyway. The alleyway is like busted concrete and gravel, so to build and construct a brand-new building to come off an alleyway for 2 contractor units just seemed a little not professional from a standpoint of an entry point. I mean, I get it that that's the zoning ordinance. It's just not uniform to the rest of the construction on that block. All of the other homes, or all the other properties, I just shared with you the overview there and the layout. They're uniform to what we're proposing. So I feel like that's our reason why we don't want to come off a gravel alleyway to access our building when there's 2 paved public roads at this point.
okay. Do you have questions?
It would be non-uniform to do it the way zoning requires it. And I get it that that's what the redevelopment codes are, but it really doesn't align with anything in there.
I'm confused. So the zoning ordinance has the front of the building not on Edwin or Will, but on the unnamed alleyway?
That's correct. The front of the building would face Will, but the entry point for traffic comes in off a gravel alleyway, which negates our already curb cuts on Will and the Edwin Street. So that forces us to come in from an alleyway, which is fair.
But to answer your question, Ms. Schaefer, so in this zone district, there's a required building line, which would dictate where the front of the building would be to be placed, or need to be placed. So along Will Avenue, that would be the blue line on your screen. So the front of the building would need to be along that blue line. And then there's also, because it's a corner lot, has an additional required building line along Edwin Street, which is, again, that blue line on your screen. So the building, I'm going to flip back and forth for really quickly for a minute, but the building would need to be at those two blue lines, effectively putting the corner of the building close to the intersection of Will Avenue and Edwin Street.
Gotcha, thank you.
Would you,
That plan there that I just
Microphone.
that plan there that I just passed out, according to Rowan, is zoning compliant, which the only way to do that is to come off, to have your driveway off a gravel alleyway.
do you have another version of that, of this, and,
Do you have this? Oh,
no.
here.
Is it in the packet?
It was sent along with the blueprints and plans for the.
Would you, while we're doing that, would you just give a little bit of an overview on how this building is planned to be used? What's the hours, who's coming and going? Just tell us a little bit about the business itself.
Yeah, just two sole proprietors. Mike has a waterproofing and caulking business. He has himself and one other employee as an independent contractor. So it's kind of home base for his supply house. There's 0 customers that come to it. But, trucks and trailers turning around in there and then storage in the facility.
And is there, as far as the building goes, it doesn't appear as though there's any like overhead doors. It looks just like normal doors. Based on what I'm looking at right here, the one on the south end, the 2 on the west end, and the one on the north end. Is that correct in terms of entrance into the building?
Yeah, the plans were submitted. I have 2 man doors, 2 human personal doors, for lack of gender disparity, 2 men-women doors, and then there are 2 tall overhead doors.
And where are the, oh, I see, okay, under that red line.
Ma'am.
Got it.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm still struggling with why you can't enter off of Will towards the north.
Pardon me?
And I don't know if it's a Rowan question or you question, but why couldn't you enter off of Will towards the north of the property if you push the building to the southwest corner as proposed?
I think you probably could configure the site that way.
Yeah, potentially. And then the alley is what our ordinance requires. We have some administrative flexibility with that. I folded all of the things into this variance request for consideration at the board, so provided a review from our traffic safety department. Alternative access configurations can be approved, but for the sake of the true spirit, the language of the ordinance, I folded the alley access variance into this request.
But there's no prohibition in the ordinance with a drive entry off of Will Avenue.
There is a requirement that properties that abut an alley are required to access off of that alley. There is administrative flexibility for alternative arrangements. So the alley access is the priority, and then we have some flexibility if there are alternative configurations that are reviewed and approved by our traffic safety department.
So if we just took the alley variance and approved that and didn't approve the rest of them, that would force the building back to that southwest corner. That would make it compliant, wouldn't it?
Potentially, yeah.
Instead of 5 variances, just be 1 variance?
Yeah, without seeing revised plans, I can't say for certain,
Very
but
similar to what he gave us here.
yeah. I guess I'm not sure the plans that you're looking at, Mr. Zeiser.
Just the layout that he gave us real quick. Just showed the building pushed up to that southwest corner.
That's the one that,
You need to go to the microphone, please. We're recording this. Thank you.
thank you, sorry. That plan is compliant. However, it forces you to come in off the alleyway.
Yes, I understand that. But if I gave you if we were to approve a variance just for the alleyway variance and gave you the curb cuts, either way, you could put the building there and you wouldn't have to ask for all the variances, just the alley variance.
Right, but I think he wants to have people enter the building off of Will or Edwin because they're paved. So I don't think his ask is around, I think he doesn't want them to access from the alley, right? And so if we gave him alley access, I'm not sure how that's solving the problem.
No.
Okay,
The way that, again, if you push that building all the way to the corner
right, yeah,
we gave you, that opens up 2 places that you can come in and
Into
get curb
Edwin and
cuts in
West.
and not have to use the alleyway.
gotcha, okay,
So essentially, we were saying, hey, you don't have to use the alleyway, but you had to put these curb cuts in.
right.
Can I ask a,
Screws up your traffic flow.
I need you at the microphone again, sorry.
It really just screws up your traffic flow coming
I
into a
understand, but
building.
we do have ordinances that we're supposed to abide by and really push the limits of whether we should be approving variances or not.
Yeah, and I get it that not every ordinance doesn't fit every property
Correct.
properly.
Right.
I guess that's why we're here at
Correct.
a ZBA meeting, because it doesn't even meet the spirit of the neighborhood.
can I ask a procedural question? I mean, I think, do we have more specific questions of the applicant or before we try and get into problem solving the site?
I have one question. If the building was moved closer to Will, you could use the entrance off of Will to get into the building. That's where your overhead doors are, correct?
I'm sorry. I'm a D-minus high school student. Can you repeat that again?
Yeah, sure, no problem. If you moved the building closer to Will,
Yep. Move it west.
okay, to the west, you still could use that entrance off of Will to get your trucks in and out of the building, correct? Because that's where your overhead doors are. On the west.
You're
side.
saying move it closer to like the blue line?
Yes.
Well, then you don't really have enough room to pull a truck and trailer into the overhead doors. That's why this sets back where you have, otherwise you end up staging on Will. You know, if you have a truck and trailer, you're not making it all the way into the entrance there with a vehicle. You're not really coming all the way off Will if you hit the blue line.
Oh, for a truck that is not going to enter the building, is that what you're saying?
Correct. That or a truck that's in process of being loaded with supplies, or a van or a box truck. So you kind of end up backing up on Will to back in, and you lose the flexibility of vehicular flexibility and traffic to enter the building.
Rowan, right now, the curb cuts that exist are non-compliant, is that correct?
Correct, yes.
But if we were to give a variance against the use of the alley, new curb cuts could be applied for in different spots, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So I guess, to your point, whether we want to get to discussion, but lastly, if it was pushed furthest you can to south and west corner there, if curb cuts were at the northern part off of Will and to the east part of Edwin, is it Edwin? That would give you full circle access around. Would you not be able to use the building?
No, doesn't work because there's a green space belt on the north end of that lot, and we've talked to the neighbor there, that's the one residential piece of it, that we were trying to be, polite to her and making her saying that the traffic isn't right in her backyard, in her side yard there. So you can see on the north side of the lot, it's a bigger green space with landscape buffer and screening.
Okay, so you're saying that you have, but if you just had a curb cut at Edwin, then it'd still give you all that access, you can still keep a green space up to the north side. So essentially what you're saying is without these variances, you cannot use the building at all?
Not the way that it makes the most sense, no.
Okay,
If it's, it ends up being not developable for us.
okay.
And I get it that you can't make one-off decisions, but here we're trying to improve a lot that doesn't make any common sense to the zoning to come in off an alley when you already have two public road curb cuts
Right.
that are maintained.
I
The
fully
alley is
understand
broken concrete and it's a two-track.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that I'm not saying that, I understand what you're saying. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay.
Rowan, I got a couple more questions.
Yes.
RBL on Will Avenue, how are you coming up with that?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Will Avenue, it's based on the building. Let me back out. So based on the building down here, south of Edwin Street, and then the building on the opposite side of Will Avenue as well.
Can you, RBL?
Required the blue line,
Yes, got it.
but it appears the blue line you're putting on there is further back from, like that appears to be at the lot line.
Yep, so it would be the median of the two. So it would be the median of both this building south of Edwin Street and the building across the street. And I believe I also might have included the house as well. I can't remember.
Okay.
Yeah, there are, I mean, I drove that property just earlier today, and there's a lot of buildings right there that are at the property line.
Yeah.
I was surprised, actually, how many there were.
Yeah. And then green space, green belt buffer, they have ability to reduce that through fences or other?
So there's a 25-foot setback from the property line to the north because it's residential, between residential and industrial. So within that 25 feet is a requirement for a landscape buffer. So the setback would still apply, and then they could reduce the landscape buffer that is within that setback.
How far can they reduce that?
Down from 10 feet to 6.6 feet.
And you can put parking in that, that 25?
You wouldn't be permitted to put it within the setback, but it could go up to the setback.
So you couldn't put parking in the setback?
No.
So 25 feet from the residential structure, that's an existing residential structure in the industrial district, they can't put parking or drive aisle or paving of any sort?
Correct.
Okay.
Is that residential and a compliant use?
Yeah, she actually came to the Board of Zoning Appeals last year for an expansion
wondering
of
about
the
that.
house. Yeah. It's been there, I can't remember that case. It's been there for a long time. Yeah. It was considered a non-conforming use, so she came in for she wanted, Gloria, thank you, Miss Bell, was doing a small addition on the house, and because it was non-conforming, it required review and approval from the board.
What outreach have you done to Miss Bell or anyone else?
My business partner did talk to her. She's super nice. I'm sorry. My business partner did talk to her and talk to some of the other users in the neighborhood. You know, you don't, with buildings like that, you're not always bending the ear of the owner per se. You're getting the tenant or the employee. So no one had a problem with anything that we were planning on doing. Showed them the plan, showed them the plans for the construction. We weren't asking for anything from her. We just said we wanted to be conscious of her position, and she's a sweet lady. We didn't want to force the traffic and push the curb cut towards her end of it. That's why we were respectful and didn't ask for a waiver on the green space and, planting trees there. So I just felt like it fit more uniform the way we had it. We had, stone and good detail in the front of the building on the door side. You don't have that copy of the plans that were submitted?
This copy here?
That's the site plan, but the blueprints?
All the plans that were submitted for the variance application is just the site plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, Larry, that's sort of my sticking point with, is knowing where the body of the house is. I mean, it seems to make sense to me that you would want the building aligned with that and not the parking in order to provide, you know, her maybe a little bit more.
I think the only
Quiet,
thing
but-
that she had to say was that if we put the building up front, it took away her visibility to look down the road and see what was coming. I don't disagree, ma'am, with what you're saying, but that was the one thing.
That was her
didn't remember
thing.
What she said.
No, that's helpful. No, that's why we ask.
But if he's,
Yeah, so that makes, I understand.
Then again, we don't know what's going to be used for later down the road, whether
Yep.
it's a small stamping plant, and I'd rather have the building away from my residential home at that point.
Right.
So, but,
Yeah, that's
do we have any more questions? Sorry.
I just want to say, it looks like on the north side of that block, Grand Rapids Towing is in a similar situation as what he's asking for here. It looks like they have, yeah,
Yeah, 1959 will and 1946 are both very similar. Maybe not back as far, but they were pretty far to get out, put a tape on it. And then there's a manufacturer that just put addition off of Ann that sets back pretty far in the front yard. I forget the name of it, but it's a fairly nice building.
We were served letters from Haviland too. I think they're actually trying to negate some of the roadway there as well. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. Just from a traffic standpoint, so.
Is there any requirement of the city to maintain that alley?
The maintenance alleys are the lowest priority for our streets department in terms of maintenance. And then for an unimproved alley like this, improvements to it in terms of paving would be the responsibility of a property owner or developer.
My experience is you have to call 311.
James, we do not receive Area 51, Act 51, at $51 for maintenance of alleyways. If the alleyway if there's a need for the alleyway to be approved and the neighbors want to improve that alley, there's a process in which they can go through the city to get those improvements. But it comes from the cost of the property owners within that area. They pay for those improvements.
Interesting.
are
I
we,
have one more.
okay.
For me?
Yeah, so you said something about trucks and trailers. Would you have larger delivery trucks or anything like that going, you know, trying to make their way into this alley?
Not semi-trucks, but like an occasional box truck or a F-350 with a trailer, you know, nothing semi-wise. But turning radius, yeah, I mean, it becomes we're not coming down an alleyway. I mean, for delivery or even personal vehicles to come unimproved, non-plowed, I mean, it's kind of it seems like the wrong application.
Do we have any more questions of the applicant? Okay.
Is that my cue to sit down?
I'm just making sure the board's asked their questions. Do you want to close the public hearing? Or do you want me to see if there's public
Yeah,
comment? Obviously, there isn't any, but
I don't know.
you want to close?
If there's no public comment, sure.
Yeah. There's no public comment. There's no one here.
I'll make a motion to close.
Second,
Okay.
aye. Do we have to vote on that?
Yeah,
No.
I'm getting there.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. All those in favor of the motion to close the public hearing?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, you are just
I'm so sorry.
way on it today. I love it. I guess the way that I look at this is,
Oh, thank you.
thank you, sorry. If the building gets put, we're all talking about a southwest corner, correct?
Yes.
I mean, there's one piece of paper that came around from the applicant saying if it's here, it fits into the ordinance, doesn't fit his practical needs. But he can still use the curb cuts that are there, correct,
The one on Edwin. only.
Brady? Huh?
One on Edwin, he could, if it slides over, if that's where the curb cut is.
I'm sorry?
You couldn't use the one on Edwin.
But then he'd lose all his parking and you wouldn't.
Well, but if the building's moved up and down, okay, to Will and closer to whatever that street is.
Edwin.
Edwin? He then has all the parking where the building is.
You mean just do a mirror?
Yeah. And then maybe put the doors on the backside, so if he comes in off of Edwin, he has room to pull in, even use the alley as a,
Yeah, that works if
Possibility
we
of a
eliminate the RBL requirement on Will Ave. Because what's happening is, like, if you look at the picture that's on there, right?
uh-huh,
The building can't go in that blue line area, right? But the whole site is being used, back to front. So if you mirror the thing, the building's in that blue line.
So I think in general, just as an overall observation, this is one I'm struggling with because it seems like I'm gonna have a hard time universally approving all of these variances. Full stop. I think trying to figure out which ones we can approve and which ones we can't approve based on trying to make a drawing on the fly is going to be challenging for me.
it's not our job.
Right. And so I don't mean to like jump in but this for me feels like we need another round of plans for this. And I don't know if that's at least where I'm sitting with the information that we have before us.
Yeah, I think we're trying to solution too much. I'm also uncomfortable with the amount of questions we have and the amount of, I think there are ways that we can minimize the variance and still give the applicant what he's looking for, but I'm not necessarily sure if this is the right venue to redraw the site plans as indicated by my fellow board members. So I'm wondering if it doesn't make more sense, instead of trying to solution this, is instead table it, ask the applicant to work more closely with Rowan and planning commissions, come up with a reduced ask that maybe can meet somewhere in the middle, and I would be much more inclined to support that,
I think there might,
provided the applicant wants to do that. I mean, if they this is the only way they want to have it, then I'm happy to vote on this, but
yeah, I mean, I would agree with that statement. I'd say if we're going to go to the table section, I think some discussion about the requirement for alley access between us is warranted, so that he understands where the board generally sits upon that. And then also, I guess RBL on Will would be useful from a design perspective if the board thinks there's some flexibility there.
I don't disagree with that. Originally, I had set this up as 3 different motions. So the first 2 variances, one, the alley is second, and then the last 2, which I don't have to get into the motions, obviously, at this point. But I think just so they know what we're willing to look at, as opposed to not willing to look at, would probably be helpful in their discussion.
Okay. So are you going to make a motion to table, and then we'll have discussion to give staff some guidance?
Is that how that works? We discuss after we table something? That seems, once it's tabled, it's tabled. That's true. What? That's true. So we discuss now and
Discuss now and then the motion?
then make a motion.
Okay.
Because I completely understand his standpoint of not wanting his front entry
Can
off.
you be a little loud?
Yeah, I understand his point of not wanting his front entry off an unapproved alley that has no reasonable, I guess, way to get it improved, other than him improving it himself and then having to, coordinate with other property owners. So I see where he's coming from there, and I feel like that would meet most of our standards, right?
because I think when just looking at the neighborhood, using that term loosely, I think it would cause more confusion, right? Because if you're looking for the building, and I know he said there wasn't going to be much traffic, but I would think they would front Will because of the other buildings and how they're set up.
Yeah.
In the back of the building or toward the alleyway. So it seems odd to me that the front would be on a not unpaved alley.
Yep. And I wonder whether, none of his requests are to reduce the side yard setback to the residential, but that seems like a very unique condition here, right? Where if you were to push the building to your southwest corner of the lot, and then you would have your parking on the north, right, that would go into the setback, which isn't allowed, but that might be the best thing for everybody, where you have a large buffer between your actual building and the actual house. Well, it isn't currently allowed by the ordinance, but it's not normal to have a house in the middle of an industrial district.
See, and I'm not seeing how there isn't room for parking and the 25-foot setback. This is where I think a redone plan would help me, because I don't design properties like you do for a living.
Well,
Yeah, I would agree with that because the applicant is talking about traffic flows and
Right.
I fully trust your expertise about how trucks come in and out of the building, but I can't see that in my head, right? And so I know that for other applications such as this where it was really dependent on traffic flow and trucks coming in and out, we've seen actual measurements and
Right.
to help us understand that. So I think for this particular one, that may be useful as well, because if it really is truly to have deliveries and we do a traffic flow and we see that trucks absolutely can't turn around in any other way, then I think that supports then the applicant's, request here. So I would like to better understand that. I don't have that type of brain to just imagine that. Yeah.
And I will also add that I would caution the board on approving a variance for plans that you don't have in front of you.
yes, yes.
So I'm sure the attorney can provide more guidance on that too, but typically our variances, approvals are per the plan submitted, and you would not have plans in front of you to connect to that variance approval. If the board is inclined to approve any or all, you're approving them on a hypothetical plan that is not in front of you.
Ultimately, my goal is to minimize the needs for variances while also seeking a solution that meets the needs of the applicant. And so I don't, frankly, even with alley access, I'd be hesitant to commit to any of that because I just don't know right now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put that, I wouldn't put that off the table in terms of what I would be open to considering, so long as the conversation has been had to minimize the variance requirements and then optimize against what the applicant needs. So that's broad strokes where I sit right now.
So it sounds like, in a little bit of guidance, we'd be open to looking at an alley variance potentially.
Yeah.
Can you, with the RBL, are you talking about moving it closer? Okay, that way.
Yeah,
So
so the building could get to the lot lines at the corner.
closer to the lot line.
Yeah,
So right now that blue line is set back.
Yeah.
We'd say take it almost to the sidewalk, almost lot line, so he can get more parking in the back. As a board, will we consider pushing that to the lot line if they came back with that?
I think so. I'm also curious actually about parking requirements for this site. I mean, I know that once built, it could be the applicant as current owners, it could evolve into future unknown business. But based on current use, with 2 business owners and no customers coming into the site, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 parking spaces, it looks like. Even that, I'd be curious about the size of the lot, the size of the structure. How much parking does that actually require in this zone district? I don't know.
It's an excellent question. I was frankly surprised at how high the parking requirement is for a contractor's yard. For this use, this size of building requires 12 parking spaces, and you count the spaces inside the building as well because there are those overhead doors. So when I saw these plans for the first time, I was skeptical that that amount of parking is needed, but our ordinance does say that 12 parking spaces is the minimum required for a contractor's yard and a building this size.
And is that is what it is? There's no way around that in this case?
There are potential reductions available, and if this case comes back, I can bring the board those for discussion.
Again, I'm just thinking about the tools in the toolbox, right? In terms of what's possible here.
There's conditions that. So the other, just so they, when they make their considerations too, that there might be a condition that we put on and say the expected use is for warehousing only, not manufacturing. And I don't know what the parking difference is, but just, we might put conditions on like that.
Yeah.
I guess to me, the other obvious question is, are we trying to put a building that's too big on a lot that's not going to accommodate it? Maybe not. I just, again, I can't, I'm not, I can't visualize it, so, but I need to see something different.
I just want to quickly ask the board, I mean, one thing that I appreciated about the applicant was him saying that they considered Gloria's experience continuing in her house that way. So for me, continuing to keep that buffer is crucial
Important.
in order to maintain her,
Quality of life?
thank you, her quality of life. So I would say any encroachment on that, I would really need to understand the why behind that. Yeah.
Coach me a little bit on.
I'll work
Hang
with you after.
Okay, yeah. I'll help you with it. I know, it's a little
So
confusing.
is there any other discussion right now? Any other discussion right now, you think?
I was just asking down here, and I guess not. Go ahead.
Then I will make a motion to table this for the applicant to go and work with the planning department for a period of time of 3 months.
Does that work? 3 months through the holidays? It would take us to February?
So your request would be to have revised plans and/or an update from me within 3 months?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
In this case, do we need that timestamp?
Just something to throw out there you can say.
It's something we
vote on it.
talked.
I guess we haven't.
You don't
There's a
need
problem.
to set a time. You could table it open and then allow Rowan to circle back, or you could postpone to a date certain, your choice.
Because I also think it's like, I don't know what the applicant, sorry, no one seconded that motion.
You go ahead.
Second. I also don't, if the applicant wants to pursue this or not, I don't know if we need to put a timeline on that.
We had an issue, or have currently an issue, with the fact that we didn't put a time limit on something.
Okay.
And it's been dragged out unnecessarily.
But that exists in this.
Right, that's what I'm thinking. Like, this doesn't exist. That one did exist, or does exist.
So I would suggest we just vote on it real quick, and then if it doesn't go, we'll make another motion.
I'm sorry?
Could we update the table motion to change the time horizon on
Yeah,
it?
you could table it open, and then if applicant works with staff and they come up with a revised site plan, and applicant wants to pursue only the alley variance, for example, then he could proceed with a new application, new variance application. So there wouldn't be a need for you to set a date certain in that scenario, for example.
I'm just asking the question about a timeline. I could be fine with a timeline. It's just, given the context, I didn't know if that was
will amend.
necessary.
I will amend my motion to be table opened. Is that how you put it? Yes, table opened. Do I have a second?
Oh, yes, I second that. That was me.
All right. I just don't want to have a list of things hanging out there in the future, so, but you're right. He's going to be a little more motivated to get this cleared up than our last one. Okay. Motion is to table for more information and maybe even another plan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. You're going to work with him closely, and we will see you back as soon as you have something for us. Okay.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is adopting the 2026 meeting schedule. That should be included in the packet as item V1. Any comments or concerns with the 2026 meeting schedule?
Nope,
Just doing what we're doing, so,
you don't need a motion, right? I don't think so.
yeah.
I think you do, yeah.
Oh, okay. Then,
One question, is February 12th the weekend before or after?
February 19th?
So the two items
Oh, meeting
in,
date.
there are two columns in the meeting schedule. The meeting date is the first column, and the second column is the deadline for applications.
So the meeting date in February is February 19.
Right.
And is that President's Day, or what's the bank holiday that week? I just tend to miss a February meeting because it tends to land on,
I thought I checked them against the holiday schedule.
Residents,
Okay.
okay, so the Monday is,
the Monday before.
so it's after, and then that's fine. Usually, if it's the Thursday before the long weekend, tends to be a get out of town type.
Okay. All right. Can I get a motion to approve our schedule as written?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Election of officers.
We need election of a chair and a vice chair, and so someone needs to make a motion to appoint a chair. Is that the correct terminology, city attorney?
Yes.
Okay.
Make a motion to appoint Lynn as chair.
Second.
Lynn, do you want to be chair? Does anybody else want to? Does anybody else want to challenge for chair?
I thought that you would want it.
Not yet.
No?
Not yet.
Well, not yet. Okay, I'm not sure how many more years. you're-
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay, I'm
Does anybody
good.
else really want to be chair? No, Lynn, we are thrilled to have you here.
Awesome.
Vote on the motion?
Nobody seconded.
I did.
Oh, second, okay. Yep, vote.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
And then
Vice
vice chair, yep.
Motion that Tracy be vice chair?
Second.
Support. Yep.
Yay. Any comments?
I
She's
accept.
Okay. Okay, all those in favor of Tracy being vice chair?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Congratulations.
Okay, and then item 4 on the agenda, included in the packet, was the proposal from Codametrics, which was the consultant selected to update the city's zoning ordinance. So it's just included for your review. I want to keep all of you informed about this process as it goes on. Ms. Montgomery, Mr. Lewis, and Ms. Lockman are all serving on the technical advisory committee for the zoning ordinance update. So there are 3 Board of Zoning Appeals members to help guide the process as it's going forward, to provide suggestions on updates, review updates, make sure the project is moving smoothly. So the Technical Advisory Committee will meet once a month throughout the process and will be updated by both the consultant and staff as the process unfolds. So thank you, Ms. Montgomery and Mr. Lewis, for serving on the Technical
Yeah,
Advisory Committee.
thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, now you want to go back to number 3?
Oh, thank you. So you might have noticed a change in the meeting minutes prior from this last meeting to the meetings previously when we had Carol. We're finding that Carol is an immense role to fill, and that we don't currently have staff capacity to provide the meeting minutes as they had previously been provided. So we are switching to a decision-based minutes, at least for the interim, until we identify a long-term solution. So the minutes will just include the decisions of any motion that's made. We do have the verbatim transcript recorded and stored on our files so that we do have the full transcript of the meeting, and we get that from the recording of the meetings. So we are currently trying to identify solutions to fill that gap for the minutes. So hopefully we can return to something that's a little bit more used to how we have previously recorded minutes. But again, the decision-based minutes are a stopgap measure until we can identify a good long-term solution.
And I'm assuming we can provide verbatim if needed for any reason.
Yep, so if a applicant or a court asks for verbatim transcripts, we have the meeting recording and they will be charged an hourly rate, our administrative hourly rate to produce those minutes.
Rowan, just one more administrative task. My term is up in January.
So it's Mary.
So is Mary's, yep. And I have not heard, I applied again. Hopefully you guys want me back. But I hadn't heard yet, and I just want to make sure there were no concerns there that,
Yeah, I
taking-
have not heard from our clerk's office that there were any concerns.
Okay.
My assumption was that things are moving through, but I can follow up with our clerk's
oh, yeah,
office to
hey,
double
listen,
check.
if you're not worried, I'm not worried. I just wanted to
And I
ask.
know Mary reapplied too.
Yep, Mary
Yep.
did too, yep.
So both Ms. Schaefer and Ms. Swanson reapplied. Mr. Kilpatrick did resign. I believe I notified that previous meeting. So we will have a new member joining us fairly shortly. We have applications on file. There will be a recommendation made by the mayor to city commission to fill that role.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Anything else? Do you want to find out about December, or did you?
Yep, so I think the only one I haven't heard from is Ms. Schaefer. Are you able to attend the December meeting?
I am. Was I supposed to get an email?
No, I was just asking everyone informally today, so.
Yes. I most likely will not be here in January, though. I believe I've, yep. For those of you who are curious about my personal life, I accepted a new job.
Oh, hi.
That I start on Monday, or the 1st. So, thank you. So my schedule's a little bit up in the air. Till I,
Are you still in
Figure
the
out.
hospital?
no.
Oh, okay.
So pending availability of Ms. Swanson, which I will try to get by the end of the week, I will update everyone on the December meeting. Yep.
You have conflicts and people that can't make it, so we'll see. Okay.
Thanks, Rowan.
Yep, thank you all.
Anything else? Thank you. We're adjourned. Thanks.